Jay get back to you today? Yeah, so you're all set?
I'm missing 2 days, but only so much you can do about it.
Did you already do some?
Just 2 days.
I'm ready. Let's call this meeting to order. First order of business is to adopt the agenda. Can I get a motion to move the agenda? And I do have an item to actually add to the agenda, which is related to what I was working on upstairs. Just gonna pull up the text where we need to add. Apologies. We need to add an additional item under section 29(1)D of the Access to Information Act, advice from officials. And I would look to council to move the agenda as amended. Councillor Singh?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
All right, perfect. Any conversation? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried unanimously. And first up on the agenda is Adoption of the minutes. Can I get a motion to that end? Councillor McDonald,
I motion to adopt the minutes.
conversation? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. And that brings us to, there's no delegations, council schedule adjustment, item 5A. Mrs. Robertson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. At last week's budget deliberations, it was decided by council that we needed to revise the date of budget deliberations for this Wednesday. Don't know what happened to our report. To a later start. And given that budget deliberation meetings are scheduled by resolution of council, they are required to be changed by resolution of council. Although this does say 12 p.m. in the recommended action, I understand that council had wanted to change that to 1 p.m. So if we can get a resolution of council that you revise the scheduled budget deliberations for Wednesday, November 26, 2025 to begin at 1 p.m.
All right, can I get a motion? Councillor McFadden?
Thank you. I'll move that council revise the scheduled budget deliberations for Wednesday, November 26, 2025 to begin at 1 p.m.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Blanchette, please take it away.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight we are presenting the second and third reading of Bylaw 16-2025 to renew Cochrane's natural gas distribution franchise agreement with ATCO. This is a standard regulated renewal process used across Alberta. As we have three new councillors joining us since first reading, I thought we could spend a little bit of time orienting everyone to how these agreements work and why this renewal is both standard and required. So if you want to have a quick look at the timeline, so we're through May through October, we undertook reviews and approvals, and here we are at November 24th looking for final readings. All regulatory steps are completed, only council's final approval remains. So what is a natural gas franchise agreement? Think of this like granting a utility permission to use the town's roads and rights of way to deliver gas. Without the agreement, natural gas service cannot legally be provided. This keeps the service stable and predictable. It doesn't introduce new costs or risks to the community. So just a quick renewal on the highlights. This is fundamentally a no-change renewal. The agreement renews existing terms already in place. So a 10-year term, that's a provincial standard. 20% franchise fee, no change proposed within that franchise fee. It's based on Alberta Utilities Commission approved templates. So those are not customizable. We have to work within their template structure. Maintains long-standing operational models. And the municipality retains right under MGA S47 to acquire the system upon expiry. So that's an option for any municipality. Council can approve the bylaw, maintain the current franchise fee rate, request information in future years regarding potential fee adjustments. However, council cannot change the template terms. Again, that's a provincial standard. Change the length of the term without AUC approval, or renegotiate the operational provisions. The franchise fee is a predictable revenue tool that comes at no operational cost to the town. So it's not a municipal tax. It's charged on the distribution portion of the ATCO bills. Provincial approval required for any change. It's a stable source of non-tax revenue, and we've got no changes recommended within this review period. The noted timeline. This timeline ensures regulated transparency and predictability for both the town and ATCO. What happens if we don't approve? If the bylaw is not approved, the current agreement expires on December 31st, 2025. ATCO loses legal authority to operate within town rights-of-way. The town risks regulatory non-compliance, potential impacts on continuity of natural gas delivery. The renewal process would then restart, causing delays and uncertainty. So it's not a great option with respect to governance implications. If you want to have a look at the 2023 to 2026 franchise fee budget to actuals. So currently, these revenues show up in our general government within our budget under the ATCO franchise fees GL. The variances that are indicated there, that's the estimated delivery tariff revenue can be impacted by changes in customer operations and weather. ATCO is committed to providing updated franchise fees forecasts as in a future date should there be any material impacts related to any update on the forecast assumptions. What this means is an average household cost is estimated at $10.17 per month, which is going to be the same as it was previously. Again, the fee only applies to distribution, and the fee is unchanged and reviewed annually. Upon adoption of Bylaw 16-2025, Bylaw 17-2015 will be repealed, and the renewed franchise agreement will take effect on January 1st, 2026. This ensures the town continues to receive the franchise fee revenue and that the service is uninterrupted. Administration recommends that Council give second and third readings to Bylaw 16-2025 to authorize execution of the renewed ATCO natural gas distribution franchise agreement. Thank you. Any questions?
Councillor Federico?
I will make the motion to move second reading of Bylaw 16-2025, and I have no questions.
Any questions, conversation? Councillor Wilson?
Thanks. Just out of curiosity, Kevin, I haven't dealt with this in my time on council. It's 2015, it looks like, when we last did this. What do our neighboring municipalities charge for franchise fees? Is 20% just the regional average? Is that how we came up with that number?
I thought you might ask.
Thanks.
So there's some comparisons, and that actually shows Fortis Electric and ATCO Gas. The comparators are listed. If you just look at the ATCO Gas, so the maximum is 35%. Cochrane is at 20%. So there's a variety of that. We talked about whether we would consider adjusting it to a higher level, but the direction we felt at this time would be to keep it at that 20%.
Thank you. I'm glad you had that slide ready. So just as a thought experiment, Okotoks is a pretty good comparable to us, and I see they're at 35 there. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if we were to make a move to go from 20 to 35, that would be increasing 15%. If I understand it right, it would simply be, let's say we reduce property taxes by the same amount that we increased our ATCO franchise fees. Would that affect the average resident to any degree, or it would just be raiding one pocket to pay the other?
Yeah, you'd end, like our residents would end up paying more for that distribution cost.
Can you elaborate a little bit?
Well, so if we have a higher rate paid to us through that distribution cost,
Yep.
that's going to be handed off to the consumer.
Oh, I see. But I was saying if the same amount that we took on that side, we reduced in property taxes, just as a thought experiment, would that affect the average resident?
I guess if you net it out at zero, I guess it would be that.
Okay.
I assume that.
Right.
For that.
Okay.
Possible, yeah.
Could you, final question, could you speak to the thought process of why Okotoks would go to 35%? I'm just trying to ascertain what the advantage of.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why specifically they said that at that rate, but of course we could look at our rate in a year's time we could do some more work to see what, why some of these other communities are looking at that 35%, and then look at the potential for, that rate increase going forward.
Yeah, okay. Just in passing, I remember not this previous election, but in 2021, there was a couple candidates running that were talking about increasing the franchise fees and how it would be a new revenue source. And to my mind, it always seemed like it is simply robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's the same people that we're charging. It's just a different mechanism for charging it to them. And I never saw the wisdom in it. So look to the table if there's any thoughts that are contrary to mine. But I think just the proposed action tonight would be the smartest.
All right. Councillor McFadden, care to weigh in?
Not on that. I appreciate the thought experience. Every time we occasionally have conversations about this, but it's like a flow-through cost, so it ends up on the resident's tax bill. So I think my first thoughts on what you were thinking there is that instead of showing up on the municipal tax bill, it would show up on the utility bill, so it might affect renters more directly, or like non-homeowners, but at the end of the day, it's, as you say, it would just be shifting one pocket to the other. My question, though, wasn't related to whether we had any response to the public notice about this at all.
We had no response at all to the public notice.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep.
Councillor Federico?
I guess on that, I'd be curious as to the Dukes being at 16 and then 0% on the ATCO gas side. So maybe to Councillor Wilson's point, it'd be interesting to see why Okotoks is 35%, and then we have the Duke at 0, and maybe what the difference is.
I'm happy to look into that for you and report back.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And, oh yes, can I get a motion for third reading? Councillor McFadden?
I'll move that council give third reading to Bylaw 16, 2025.
Any discussion on that one? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Director Mark Krasinski of Community Growth coming up to present us the Horse Creek Sports Park former school site municipal reserve designation removal, which is a long title. I'm sure you'll make it simple for us.
We worked on an acronym, but didn't quite come out right, so. Okay, thank you, everybody. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. The purpose of this report is the removal of the municipal reserve designation on the former location of the future school site at the location of the Horse Creek Sports Park. The Planning Services Department and Community Growth has been actively supporting infrastructure services and parks and active living with the Horse Creek Sports Park project, providing land title, subdivision, and other various support services to assist the future development of the site. This report is largely a housekeeping item to enable consolidation of the parcel of land that was created for the former location of the school site on the Horse Creek Sports Park quarter section, with the remainder of the site in order to reduce potential barriers to the timely development in the future. Over the course of the project, there have been changes to the design of the site, resulting in a change of location for the school site on the subject parcel. It is important to note that the current location of the school site has already been subdivided out from the subject parcel and transferred to Rocky View School Division, and this file has no impact on the timing of the development of the school site on the Horse Creek Sports parcel. The site of the proposal is located on the quarter section north of the community of Heritage Hills. For context, this is just north of Township Road 262 and just east of Horse Creek Road, and as I mentioned, north of Heritage Hills. This land was annexed into Cochrane in 2019 for the purpose of creating a future 30-acre school site for Rocky View School Division. The municipality and Rocky View School Division have worked in collaboration on this site and established a plan whereby the school division would own the future school site and the remainder would remain in town ownership and enable the development of the Horse Creek Sports Park. The initial site planning identified Parcel 1 as the site of the future school site. Accordingly, in 2020, it was subdivided out from the remainder of the quarter section. Following further more detailed design and planning of the quarter section, it was determined that the storm pond that was proposed at the southwest corner of the subject site needed to be expanded. As this had an impact on the future school site, a decision was made to relocate the school site on the quarter section to the western boundary where number 2 is located. Yes. Administration is coming forward with this housekeeping item to remove the municipal reserve designation from the former school site identified as Parcel 1, which would then allow the parcel to be consolidated back into the remainder of the quarter section. This would aid in future development of the Horse Creek Sports Park, as there would no longer be property lines or setback issues related to them on the consolidated parcel. If we take a step back, I wanted to explain a little bit of municipal reserve and why administration is asking for it to be removed from the site. The Municipal Government Act allows municipalities to require a municipal reserve to be dedicated during the subdivision process to provide parks and school sites for the community. Technically, there is no proposed change to the intent of the future use of the site at this time. However, it provides more flexibility in the future and would alleviate concerns related to the property lines and future setbacks. In order to cancel the subdivision and consolidate it with the 30 acres back into the quarter section, so we have one contiguous parcel, the town must first remove the MR designation off of the 30-acre parcel. The purpose of this slide is to provide a high-level overview of the timelines associated with this project. In 2019, the section was annexed into Cochrane for the purpose of providing a future school site and larger-scale sports park. In 2020, it was initially proposed that the school site was selected and subdivided. During the design and further refinement of the site, as mentioned, there was an identification of a relocation and expansion of the storm pond to be made larger. And since it impacted the school site, there needed to be a new location identified. In 2024, that school site location was subdivided and turned over to Rocky View County through a transfer, or Rocky View School Division, sorry. Administration in 2025 is now bringing this forward as a housekeeping item to remove the municipal reserve designation from the former school site location on parcel 1 shown previously and consolidate it into the remainder of the parcel owned by the municipality. The consolidation of the site will facilitate future development of the Horse Creek Sports Park and alleviate any potential barriers. This municipal reserve designation removal item is not a bylaw to be adopted. Rather, the Municipal Government Act requires that a public hearing be advertised and held, and then that council, after taking into consideration the representations made at the public hearing, may direct a designated officer, the chief administrative officer, for example, to notify the registrar at land titles that the provision of the Municipal Government Act have been complied with and request that the registrar remove the municipal reserve designation. The paperwork will then be submitted to land titles along with the plan to consolidate parcel 1 back into the remainder of the quarter section, essentially meaning there's no need for an additional council meeting after the public hearing unless significant concerns are identified that need to be discussed further. Administration is recommending that council establish a public hearing for the Horse Creek Sports Park Municipal Reserve Designation removal on Monday, December 8th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Can I get a motion from council? Councillor Federico.
I can make the motion that council establishes a public hearing for the Horse Creek Sports Park Municipal Reserve Designation removal on Monday, December 8th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. And I only have one question. For public knowledge, the school site has been turned over to Rocky View Schools and is service ready so that it can get on their much needed list.
Through the mayor to Councillor Federico, that is correct.
Perfect. I thought it was just important to reiterate that point to the public themselves. No other questions.
Anything else? I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up. We have Director Tooth joining us to go over the Water Utility Bylaw Amendment, Bylaw 18, 2025.
Exciting stuff, right? Good evening, Council. Thank you for having me. Before we move into the first readings, I want to take a moment to highlight the information that we shared during budget deliberations on November 17th and 20th. Over those 2 days, we walked through the operating pressures, capital renewal needs, reserve strategies, and long-term financial planning that shape the rates for all 5 utilities: water, wastewater, stormwater, waste collection, and the Eco Center. The 3 bylaw amendments before you tonight carry forward the rate adjustments that were presented and discussed in detail during those sessions. What we're doing tonight is standard process. I'm here to request first reading for the bylaws, and we'll be back on December 8th to seek second and third readings. Sorry. Once council has had time to reflect, ask follow-up questions, or request any additional information. As always, I'm happy to answer anything that may still be in your mind as we move through these brief readings. With that, I'll begin with the first of the 3 bylaws. I'm requesting that council give first reading to Water Utility Bylaw 18, 2025, which reflects the 2026 water rate adjustments presented during the special council meetings on November 17th and 20th. Drawing council's attention to the monthly water rate increase of $2.80. This change is based on the average household using 12 cubic meters of water per month. The variations shown here, including building repairs, payment in lieu of taxes, inflation, and increased contributions to reserves, are the cost drivers behind the water rate increase. These adjustments ensure we can maintain essential infrastructure, complete required renewal work, and keep the system reliable. That concludes my water presentation. I welcome any comments you may have and respectfully request the council consider my recommendation to provide first reading to Bylaw 18-2025.
All right, council. Can I get a motion? Councillor McDonald.
I move that council give first reading to Bylaw 18-2025.
All right, and as Mr. Tooth kind of already indicated, first reading typically, as a reminder to everyone, is usually just for clarification questions. And if there's any debate on anything, we always save that to second and third reading. That is the case for this one, as well as all of our other bylaws that we'll be moving over the next 4 years. So any questions for clarification? Any other comments? Councillor Singh?
Just a question or clarity on the bulk water. It has changed from $5 for the domestic, like for the potable water, and $2 for the non-domestic, or is it, or, yeah, just on clarity on that, please, yeah.
Through the chair to Councillor Singh. Good question. That's a minor alteration we made in the bylaw this time. It's not actually a substantive change. There's only a few remaining customers that seem to use the $5 per cubic meter bulk water rate. So what we're doing is removing the $5 charge and just going with a $7 charge for bulk water in town. The rate has existed in the past to provide service to rural properties that we have inside the town of Cochrane's boundaries. And as council knows, there's not very many rural properties inside our municipal boundaries anymore.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Please proceed.
Okay. Moving on to our sanitary sewer bylaw, which contains the rates for our wastewater and stormwater utilities. I'm requesting the council give first reading to sanitary sewer bylaw amendment 1925, which reflects proposed rate increases for 2026 as presented during the special council meetings on November 17th and 20th. Drawing council's attention to the per month increase of $3.58 for sanitary sewer. As a reminder for council, the sanitary sewer rate displayed here represents 12 cubic meters of volume per month to represent the average customer in Cochrane. Additionally, I have included the proposed storm rate increase of 68 cents per month. The wastewater rate increase primarily reflects treatment cost increases from Calgary, growing reserve contributions, and the investments needed for facility renewals and Calgary pipeline risk management. These changes are necessary to keep the system safe, compliant, and financially prepared for future upgrades. The stormwater rate increase is tied to engineering work, payment in lieu of taxes, corporate allocations, and the reserve contributions needed to manage long-term drainage infrastructure. These costs support the planning and upgrades required to prevent flooding and protect the community. That concludes the sewers presentation. I welcome any questions you may have and respectfully request the council consider my recommendation to provide first reading to Bylaw 19-2025.
Can I please get a motion to move the discussion forwards? Councillor Gale.
I move that council give first reading to Bylaw Amendment 2025.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Moving on to our waste management bylaw, which contains the rates for solid waste collection in the Eco Center. I'm requesting the council give first reading to Waste Management Bylaw Amendment 2025, which reflects proposed rate increases for 2026 as presented during the special council meetings on November 17th and 20th. As discussed previously, there are no increases being recommended to the waste collection and Eco Center rates for 2026. The changes in this slide show how contract costs, staffing needs, and capital funding are balanced by significant EPR revenue and tipping fee savings. Because these offsets fully cover the pressures, the solid waste rate remains unchanged for 2026. For the Eco Center, increases in staffing and capital reserve contributions are fully offset by the new EPR funding and other reductions. As a result, no rate increase is required for the Eco Center services in 2026. Within the waste management fee schedule, administration is recommending a $3 increase for the purchase or replacement of new 120-liter carts from $237 to $240 for a package of carts. The cost for the Waste and Recycling Department to purchase and supply these carts has increased, and we're simply passing on the $3 increase. That concludes my presentation. I welcome any comments you may have and respectfully request that Council consider my recommendation to provide first reading to Waste Management Bylaw 2025.
Thank you. Councillor Verdigo.
I will move that council give first reading to Waste Management Bylaw Amendment 2025, and I have one quick question for you. The cost of the carts, if you know, an existing resident has damage to a cart, needs it replaced, will that be passed on to them, or is this strictly for new residents moving into town?
Through the chair to Councillor Federico, that would be a new charge for the residents, so there'd be a new $3 charge we're recommending over and above the current rate.
Okay, and that's per bin, I guess, or
That's
if they didn't need all three?
So it would be prorated, but maybe, oh yeah, Shane's ready to go already. Thank you, Shane.
Through the chair to Councillor Federico, just a slight correction. If a resident's bin is cracked due to the equipment that picks it up happens to crunch it, at a no fee charge or no fee cost, do we charge the resident for that replacement? If the resident was to do something with their cart and it was missing, then that could potentially lead to a charge for one of the bin types, whatever that is. But that would be the rare exception. I can't off the top of my head think of that actually happening. Where these fees most likely or most often apply are the new developer setups. So a new developer is required to have a set of carts available when they hand over a house to a new resident. So it's typically a developer charge.
Perfect, thanks for the clarification.
All right, perfect. Anything else? Councillor McFadden.
Sorry, can we go back a slide, please?
Yep.
One more. I just wanted to highlight, because I know when we're in budgets, we're often talking about, you know, new services or how do we cover the cost of existing services. But I just wanted to highlight, you know, various expense reductions that happened in this. And I know that all through the utilities and various aspects of the municipality, you know, there's active work being done to reduce expenses. So I just wanted to identify this, since you had in a great slide identifying how we'd been able to, you know, reduce expenses and to offset ongoing costs. So I just wanted to flag this slide, and thank you for your good work on it.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no further comments, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, cruising right along. That brings us into the notices of motion portion of our agenda. We have one item 6A here. Councillor Tara McFadden, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor Morgan Nagel. So this notice of motion is just essentially just a housekeeping one. The idea behind it is to allow the Spray Lakes board representative to the Parks and Recreation Culture Committee to be either a staff or a member of the board. And before, the way the terms of reference had been written, it was just limited to a board member. So it was the desire that it would be easier for them to participate if they could send a staff member instead. So this is just a little housekeeping one. So the recommended action then is that the terms of reference for the Cochrane Parks and Recreation Committee under membership be changed from 1 Spray Lake Sawmills Family Sports Center of Directors member to 1 member of the SLS Center. And as I summarized, it's just to provide greater flexibility and representation for the partner organization and just to ensure that consistent participation in the Parks and Rec Committee. In the last iteration of council, Mayor Janung, who served on this committee, also sat in on the Parks and Rec as the representatives from Spray Lakes, but this will allow them to send a staff or a committee member, however best suits their needs. So I ask for your support on this one.
And to clarify, there's no motion this evening for decision, or is it coming back in a couple weeks? Is there a motion on the floor?
I have to admit, I lost track of the process.
This is the first time introduction, but we could with 2/3 majority vote on it if it were a pressing matter, but you'll come back to this in.
Actually, I would request that we get 2/3 support of council and move this ahead today. Thank you for the reminder, because we have a SLS, man, these acronyms are gonna kill me. We have an SLS meeting on Friday, and we would like to let them have this news so that they could also then send representatives to the next Parks and Rec meeting.
Okay, so the motion we currently have on the floor is whether or not we will vote on this issue tonight. Voting in favor of that motion does not mean you're voting in favor of the broader notice motion. It just means you're voting in favor of having the vote tonight. To that end, does administration have any comment on the timing of this?
No, I would just concur, as I will be at the meeting on Friday as well with Councillor McFadden's rationale for proceeding this evening.
Okay, all right, so I'll call the question on whether or not we want to vote on this tonight. All in favor? That motion is carried unanimously, which no doubt is more than 2/3 majority. So let's proceed with your motion this evening.
So I would move the recommended action.
Any further questions, clarification, debate, comments, queries, opinions from administration? All right, well, with that, I'll call the question. All in favor of Councillor McFadden's motion? That is also carried unanimously. Perfect record so far this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that brings us to item 6B from Councillor Gale.
I think one of the obvious themes highlighted in the last election was the need for more accountability and transparency from council. It's our job to lead by example and make sure every dollar we spend is used wisely for the right reasons. So reviewing our travel and expense policies is a simple but important way to make sure we're responsible and transparent with taxpayer dollars. Being fiscally responsible, practical, and respectful of the people who pay the bills while still being able to do the work our community expects of us. So I move that administration be directed to review Cochrane's travel and expense policies for both council and staff and bring forward a report back to council with recommendations no later than the end of Q1 2026.
All right, excellent. And for clarification on the process, was this the introduction for it to come back in 2 weeks? So the motion, would save the motion for 2 weeks then?
I think same, like tonight.
Motion for 2/3 majority?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
all
I
right.
think this is gonna land in the same place.
Yeah.
So I would support any motion to make this a 2/3 vote tonight.
Okay. Comment from administration?
No, we don't have any comments. Happy to
Okay.
allow you to proceed.
Okay. Councillor Fedeko?
I think the confusion comes in as we have talked about this in the background a little bit about speeding up the notice motion process, but that will have to come from the procedural bylaw that we'll have to amend to make that happen. So just for clarification, why we all seem to be a little confused, but I think maybe the next step would be to deal with the procedure bylaw so we can get that updated so we don't have this have to happen all the time.
Okay. Councillor Gale, you still have your light on. Did you have anything else to add?
No, sorry.
And procedurally, it seems a little clunky while I'm explaining it and checking with the administration now, but also we could just get used to just doing the 2/3 majority over and over, which would also then easily lend itself to, if there's something we feel like we need to pause on, we'll say, hey, let's just not do the 2/3 majority, let's bring it back in 2 weeks. So, yeah, good point, Councillor Fedeko, but also we could also just try and make use of this without amending the procedure, if that works. Okay, so any questions? I'll add my comment to the motion. I appreciate you bringing this forwards. I think you said everything in your executive summary. Happy to see it on our table here this evening. This will be your first big accomplishment as a councillor. So, assuming not to suggest how it's going to be voted on, but all right, I'll call the question. All in favor? Excellent. Carried unanimously. That was just the 2/3 majority. Eesh, one of those nights. So yes, your first big accomplishment as a councillor was to get 2/3 majority on a notice of motion. Okay, so we do have the motion moving forwards. Any comment on the motion itself? I guess nothing else? Nobody? Okay, all right, now I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Perfect. And that is the end of our official business, but we have mayor's reports, council reports, and then some closed sessions coming up. I will lead off with my mayor's report. Our council meeting this evening was fairly quick, but it has actually been a very busy few weeks, and I'll keep my mayor's report to just the highlights that directly impact our government and community. At the AB Communities Convention, we had some very positive discussions with several ministers. Minister Nixon and his department assured us that they will be able to help us deliver on a major seniors housing project this term. I won't get into all the details just yet, but Minister Williams and Minister Dreeshen also independently both expressed a genuine willingness and interest to meet with us to further explore the possibility of some creative funding solutions for our provincial infrastructure, such as the next phase of the Highway 22 expansion across the Bow River. I also had a meeting at the convention, just outside the convention, at the mayor's office, actually, the Calgary's Mayor Farkas, and we had a productive conversation about the need to work together to advocate for our regional priorities with the Premier and provincial government jointly. We also briefly discussed our shared desire amongst both our communities to collaborate on regional transit solutions. The even bigger topic of conversation over the past couple of weeks was, of course, our budget. I was very pleased with how our budget deliberations have gone so far. My satisfaction doesn't just come from where I think we are landing in terms of results, but perhaps more importantly, how we work together as a team to have a meaningful and productive conversation about the complex financial challenges and opportunities ahead for our community. Further to that end, our acting CAO and I have continued discussing in the background how we can schedule our meetings, workshops, and strategic planning sessions in 2026 to keep advancing and ultimately deliver upon Council's key priorities. I expect we will have further clarity on that roadmap for next year before the Christmas holidays. In the coming weeks, I'll be bringing forward a motion to start the conversation about a sustainable growth strategy for our community. This was the key policy promise that I made in my mayoral election campaign, and I hope to provide council with some meaningful options that you will be excited to support, hopefully. And council and the community can expect a conversation starting, intention setting motion soon. With regard to my committee appointments, I would like to share that the Cochrane Planning Commission, or CPC, expressed a near unanimous desire to be more involved in our planning processes and policy creation than what has been experienced by the committee previously. We, as a committee, will be having discussions in the months ahead about how to better utilize the expertise of that group to enhance Cochrane's planning framework. One idea discussed was leaning more on CPC for policy idea generation based on the files that they review and the policy gaps that they identify. And another idea was having the group potentially review and contribute to any sustainable growth strategy which council may wish to pursue. Last but not least, I am starting to think about putting together a longer video update for the community to talk about how we have kicked off this term and to provide a roadmap for what the community can expect in 2026. Stay tuned. That is my mayor's report. I would like a motion to accept it. Any comments, questions, concerns? All right, all in favor of the mayor's report as read? Carried unanimously, which moves us right along to council reports. I believe Councillor McDonald has one.
I do. Thank you so much. Over the past several weeks, I've continued to advance professional development and community representation on behalf of the town of Cochrane. I was proud to represent Cochrane at the recent Alberta Municipalities Conference, including participating in the Bear Pit session with provincial ministers. I took the opportunity to highlight the challenges and needs of high-growth communities like ours and hoped for clear commitments on provincial support for infrastructure, transportation, and community services. While there were no solutions readily offered, we certainly landed on the minister's radar. I attended my first meeting as a new board member of Rocky View Handybus. I look forward to contributing Cochrane's perspective to this important regional service and helping strengthen accessible transportation options for seniors and residents with mobility needs across the region. This week, I'll be attending the Cochrane Society for Housing Options meeting alongside Councillor Fedayko. I'm looking forward to the discussion as we continue collaborating with CSHO on housing affordability and supply, both critical issues for our rapidly growing community. Regarding the recent council-endorsed expression of interest for the former RCMP lands, I want to just take this opportunity to thank Cochrane residents who have reached out, both in favor and in opposition to the use of the former RCMP lands. I want you to know that your concerns are welcome, they are important, and they've been received by council. And finally, I'm pursuing a series of economic development courses through Economic Developers of Alberta to strengthen my capacity as an elected official supporting Cochrane's economic growth. This training will include courses like economic development for elected officials, business retention and expansion, business investment and attraction, community economic resilience, which was highly recommended at AUMA, and professional ethics. These courses directly reinforce Cochrane's priorities around fostering a vibrant economy in Cochrane.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to accept Councillor McDonald's council report? Okay. In the future, we might just do one motion for all the reports, but let's just, no, it's fine. Let's move just this one to accept Councillor McDonald's report. Any comments? All right, all in favor? Carried. Councillor Fedayko.
Thank you. I won't repeat a lot of the same stuff because we were obviously at a lot of the same events. I was also at the CPC meeting, and I do agree that CPC did discuss kind of how to what the commission's role is in the future planning process. This past Friday, I received the Age Friendly Award on behalf of yourself, the mayor, as well as all of council. It was a great ceremony, a great lunch. It was pretty thrilling to see how a small seed turned into this huge project where not only we recognized provincially, but I imagine eventually nationally. And I do have actually the award right here, which I wasn't sure where you wanted to hang it, so I brought it back with me. So excellent. I will hand that to you afterwards. This weekend, I also bowled in the Bow Valley Special Olympics fundraiser, which raises good money for our Special Olympics participants. And then I attended the library's 75th anniversary and brought greetings from the town for that. And it was very fascinating to hear the full history of the library. There were many things that I actually did not know. And so they went through the full history, which was great. And lastly, I've been spending time organizing and kicking off Share Your Christmas parades that will travel through all communities starting this Thursday. We are looking for unwrapped gifts for all ages, as well as non-perishable food items or hygiene, toiletries. It's going to be a pretty tough year out there. So for anybody that can possibly find it in their hearts to give, if they could please consider donating. And we have members of Saracen Fire and Rescue, Cochrane Fire Services, RCMP, and Municipal Enforcement that will be out collecting. And it's a pretty big deal if you haven't seen them come through your neighborhood. It's loud, it's bright, there's lots of flashing sirens. And going into the future, I do plan to bring forward my whistleblower notice motion once again. It's something that's super important to me to not only protect employees of the town, but also to have a place where residents can provide their comments or complaints anonymously without fear of retaliation in any way. So that will come forward in the new year. I want to do a little bit more digging on what other municipalities are doing because I want to keep this as anonymous and free from town involvement as possible.
Okay, great. Can I get a motion to accept Councillor Fedayko's report? Councillor Wilson?
I so move.
Questions? All right, looking forward to seeing the policy, and if there's anything I can do to help you put it together, you know where my office is. Talk to you soon. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Next up on the report queue, I believe was Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm on. I've actually got a two-pager here. I'm not usually accused of oversharing, so maybe I'll take on an early night 2 pages to myself.
Take your time. Take your time.
All right. Thank you. My council report, good evening. Given the encouragement of Mayor Nagel last meeting to use this section of the agenda to communicate priorities to the public, I thought I'd take advantage of doing so tonight. I'm deeply appreciative of the trust the Cochrane electorate issued me last election. I listened to the needs of our residents and took time to reflect on all that I've learned during my time on council and where to prioritize. I very much look forward to working with this group and tackling the issues before us. There has been a considerable amount of recent budget deliberation speaking to the need for a better articulated 10-year capital plan and fiscal framework, which is essentially rank ordering what projects Cochrane needs most and how we'll fund them. I applaud this sentiment and agree that these are currently lacking. In a similar vein, I have a few strategic priorities I'd like to outline for the coming term. In my estimation, Cochrane is financially insolvent on the way to future bankruptcy. We aren't a unique municipality in this grim diagnosis. In fact, every Canadian municipality I've looked at is on the same trajectory, just on varying timelines. We as a council currently approve developments without any financial data about the associate future revenues, which are the property taxes, ongoing operational costs, which are the asset maintenance, or the long-term asset replacement costs, which is the infrastructure life cycling. We make choices on community designs, housing types, amenities, densities, etc., all without knowing the associated financial implications to Cochrane. In an April 2024 presentation to Cochrane Council, right here in this very room, a consultant named Urban 3 confirmed Cochrane's development Ponzi scheme I have long suspected was indeed true. Essentially, that the net present value of all future property tax revenues on a new community, which appear as a dramatic positive cash inflow in the initial years, only barely exceeds the operational maintenance of our communities over time. Unfortunately, every approximately 40, 50 years, we need to life cycle all a community's municipal utilities and roads. We haven't collected nearly enough to pay for it. We then take on debt to do so. This is covered up by another shiny new community with positive initial cash flows to band-aid the looming financial consequences of the old, but only worsening the financial hole over the long term, thus the Ponzi scheme and the road to bankruptcy. I submit that the single greatest tool we could give ourselves and our council in the future is a financial development calculator that guides council on true long-term money flows of development decisions. This would include a net present value of future revenues balanced against future operational and infrastructure life cycling costs. Essentially, this would give councils the financial information to make good decisions in the present and stop making dramatic financial decisions in the dark. What I'm really arguing for is growth paying for growth and new residents being financially neutral to the current ones. So given all that preamble and our undesirable trajectory, my unique strategic priorities are financial in nature. Outside of the excellent already in motion topics of a 10-year capital plan and fiscal framework improvements, which I roundly support, they include 5 points. Managing our growth through financial prudence, number 1. So tasking administration to connect with a consultant to build us a development financial analysis software. It will be equally valuable for residential as well as non-residential development. This is my top priority. Number 2, reassessing our utilities model and exploring the topic of a Cochrane utility incorporation. We'd begun this last term as a very preliminary analysis. I'd like to bring council up to speed on what we learned last term. Number 3, revenue generation to offload our reliance on tax and debt. I plan to have ideas before us soon on this topic, and I didn't want to go on too long tonight. Number 4, administrative efficiency. I want to continue to operate as the lowest comparable rates to like municipalities. And finally, number 5, supporting our local business. And that means in particular, challenging administration and this council to support them by making Cochrane affordable for business again. Our commercial square footage rental rates are astronomical. Our undue regulatory demands push up these rates and make it impossible for startups and entrepreneurs to open physical locations or lease them. I have confidence that we can improve here. I have ideas for it, and in the mayor's comments tonight during his mayor's reports, I heard that CPC wants to be more involved in things like that, and I think that's an excellent place to start right there. So that's all I have for a council report. I'll send this off to Ledge Services as we're told we should do, and that's my council report.
All right, excellent. Can I get a report, or not a report, a motion from council to accept as information?
I will move that we accept Councillor Wilson's excellent report.
As information?
For information.
Yep. And then just a reminder to everybody who may be listening is that this council report section of the item is of the agenda is just to get conversation going. There are no actions to be taken following this immediately. It's just to get the conversation going. So thank you for bringing up a very worthwhile academic conversation about our community. Any other comments or questions about Councillor Wilson's report? I'll call the question to accept it as information. Carried. And then next up, I believe, Councillor Singh, you have a report?
Yes. As we approach the 1 month mark since I took the oath of the office, I want to express my sincere gratitude to our residents, my family, supporters, volunteers, my fellow members of council, and our administrative staff. Your encouragement and guidance have meant a great deal as I begin this role. This past month has been both productive and inspiring. I had the opportunity to attend the award ceremony celebrating Cochrane's official designation as age-friendly community 2025. Kudos to the planning committee, volunteers, and staff who made this achievement possible. I've also attended AB Munis Conference along with my member of council with over 1,200 participants from all across the province, and we met various ministers. I also joined Deputy Mayor Federico in celebrating 75th anniversary of Cochrane Library. In the community, I joined International Men's Day, Men's Unplugged, Breaking the Silence at Cochrane Ranch House. We helped decorate Smile Cookies at Tim Hortons, where 100% proceeds go to support local charities, community groups, and Tim Hortons Foundation, and also attending the Remembrance Day service at the Cochrane Legion. I was also honored to participate in the RCMP Regimental Ball here in Cochrane. We have begun our budget deliberation process, and I have started the elected official education program, recently completed my first course. Thank you again for your support. I'm honored to serve and excited for the work ahead. I wanted to bring something for the council to consider in there. Exploring a finance or a corporate advisory committee. The purpose is to strengthen collaboration between council, administration, and the community on financial planning, budgeting, and long-term priorities, while building public trust and confidence in town financial stewardship. The establishment of a Finance and Corporate Advisory Committee composed of 2 members of council, the mayor as appropriate, and 3 to 4 public representatives will create a focused and inclusive forum for discussion of key financial and corporate matters. Working in partnership with administration, the committee will promote accountability, inclusiveness, and proactive financial planning, ensuring that town resources are managed responsibly and reflect community values and long-term goals. Recommendation that council accept this report as information regarding the potential establishment of a Finance and Corporate Advisory Committee to enhance collaboration and strengthen public trust in town's financial planning and corporate governance. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Can I get a motion to accept the report as information? Councillor McFadden?
I'll move to accept Councillor Singh's report for information. Thank you.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, were there anything else? I think that's it.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a few words. It's been less than a month since this new council has begun working together, and I just wanted to take a moment to give a rave out to both council and administration. What I've seen so far has been a very enjoyable and very exciting and emerging culture of both of empowerment, collaboration, and respect. And I just wanted to recognize that. It's been highly enjoyable for me to experience this month. In just a few weeks, this council has represented Cochrane at the Alberta Municipalities Conference, where the team did a great job of representing Cochrane, speaking to ministers, participating in education sessions, and just being present. We completed a 3-day orientation and got started to get to know each other. And we're already in the middle of our budget deliberations, which is a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of prep work. And a shout out to administration who's been beyond responsive in that. Much appreciated. I do want to give a special shout out to Councillor Federico for relaunching your Christmas parades, and to the Cochrane Light Up Committee who's hosting the Cochrane Light Up this Saturday. So I know it's in everybody's books, but make sure you get it out to that. It's one of my favorite community traditions. And I also wanted to give a shout out to our mayor, very deliberately, who is keeping his campaign promise to empower council and has been setting the tone and the pace of our work. As you can see tonight, we're not dilly-dallying on any opportunity to make headway in this community and this council. Your leadership is helping us to build on a strong foundation for success. So thank you for that. It's great to see and feel all of my colleagues being involved in the discussions and to be empowered to be part of all of the solutions. And finally, to the residents of Cochrane, thank you for putting your trust in this group of 7 people. I'm truly excited about the next 4 years and the future successes that this council and this new culture of empowerment, innovation, and independence is going to bring to Cochrane's successes. So, yeah, thank you very much. It's been a good first month, and I'm looking forward to the rest of them. So thank you very much, everyone, staff as well.
All right, excellent. Can I get a motion to accept that as information?
I have motion
Councillor McDonald.
to accept Councillor McFadden's report as information.
All right. Any conversation on that? Your green light is for your report, not, okay. All right, I'll call the question. Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. And then over to Councillor Gill.
Well, we jumped straight into things. Right after orientation, as mentioned, we attended the AB Munis conference. It was valuable, a few days of learning and connecting, and as mentioned, we had a chance to speak with the RCMP as well as Ministers Jason Nixon, Dan Williams, and Devin Dreeshen. It was a great opportunity to represent Cochrane, and I look forward to following up on several of those conversations. As soon as we got back, we moved straight into budget deliberations. They were long days, but the way everyone worked together, as mentioned again, made the process productive. Further deliberations will continue as we work through the remaining questions and responses. Outside of chambers, I've been getting out into the community. Alongside a few of my council colleagues, I attended the 2025 Cochrane and District Chamber of Commerce Business Excellence Awards Gala, helped decorate Tim Hortons holiday smile cookies, which felt right in my wheelhouse, and took part in celebrating Cochrane's official designation as an age-friendly community for 2025. My committee work begins now. My first Parks and Recreations Committee meeting is tomorrow night, and my first Natural Environment Protection Task Force meeting takes place in the new year. I'll have more to report once both groups are underway. Looking ahead, I just want to get on the radar. One of the things I'm working on is planning and brainstorming for a youth council. I really want young people in Cochrane to feel connected, represented, and involved in local decision making, and I'm super excited to explore this further. It's been a fast start, but I feel a really strong one. I'm learning quickly, staying engaged, and really genuinely enjoying the opportunity to serve this community, and again, extending a big thank you to everyone. So yeah,
Okay.
and that's all.
Can I get a motion to accept that council report? Councillor Federico.
I will make the motion to accept as information.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone, for the wonderful council reports. That is it of our scheduled public meeting. So here we're going to move into a closed session. Can I get a motion from council to move into closed session? Councillor McDonald?
I so move.
Conversation? Question? In favor? Carried. All right. Let's, are we doing it in here? Should we take a quick Okay, welcome back. I'm looking for a motion to come out of closed session. Councillor McDonald,
I motion to come out of closed session.
any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. And I would look for any motions that may be arising from closed session. Councillor Fedeko.
I'd like to make the motion to confirm the conclusion of the employment of Michael Derricott as Chief Administrative Officer of the Town of Cochrane as of the end of the day, November 24th, 2025.
All right, and as this is a personnel matter, I'm going to forego calling to see if there's any further discussion or debate. I'll just call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Look if there's any other further motions arising. Councillor McFadden.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to move that council appoint Drew Heineman as the interim CAO effective November 25th, 2025.
And just like the last one, I'll go straight to calling the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And with that, that is the end of our program this evening. Looking forward to working with you, Mr. Heineman.